Hi everyone, it's me Darlene with the windows open, but I might have to shut them because it's very humid. I don't want humidity. I am at the Joe's therapy appointment, and I know I haven't been doing car vlogs from here for a hot minute. I miss my car vlog time, and I'm going to fill you in on the water mess that I had in my apartment yesterday. Things were not going good with that. I'm still not convinced that it will end well. Go watch yesterday's video. I'll link to it in the description of this video. But a pipe burst inside walls that joins my apartment to the next apartment. And it ended up, now I realize the noise I was hearing was the water draining in between those walls, and then it got to the point where the drywall or sheetrock, Joe said that's kind of the same thing, he should know, and he said, but most people call it sheetrock. I don't know, I'm sticking with drywall. It got so damp that it, I guess it was soft enough and it blew a hole through the wall. Now the hole itself is only about, I don't know, I could probably stick my pinky finger in it, but then, it bubbled around it and, the paint was off. And so at first it looked bigger, but I can't believe a hole that size can do that much water. I don't want to say water damage, but, well, yes, it certainly was water damage. It damaged things like the carpeting and the padding, and I'm sure the wall itself, and but like miraculously only some of my fabric got wet, not the things that are near and dear to me and that are already nothing that is for sale right now is even in that room. When something is listed on my site or eBay, it moves to the tables in my office because that's where I'm going to do the shipping. But I did have things already cut for my 500-piece scrap pack and 1,000-piece scrap pack. Those were not covered. They were all on the table, but the water that was spewing out was about 2 feet short, so we were there in time to be able to make that water aim down and not have it touch any of my scrap packs. But there was other fabric on other tables that was getting hit, and that's okay. I am going to probably try to file a claim because I'm very curious to see how that would go. So when I talked to you yesterday, that video ended that I was waiting now for wet vac people to come back to bring me a dehumidifier because the management said that's what she wanted them to do, and she was going to talk to them about needing to have stuff moved, and she said, let's at least see what they say about the dehumidifier. But she said, if they can have people move things today, I'd like them to, whatever, take out the padding and all that. So I was like, okay. But I never heard back. She said, I'll call you either way if it's just a dehumidifier coming or if you need to, plan to get the stuff moved. And, like, in my head, like, where things are going to go and stuff. So I waited. I think it was 4 o'clock when I was recording that because I think I remember saying, that happened this morning and now it's like 4 o'clock. So I waited and waited and nobody ever came. Nobody ever called. And what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was able to sit at my table and cut pieces for my 10 by 8 scrap packs of just calicos. That is something that if somebody were to knock on the door, I can quickly take that off the table. I can't do anything right now until this is done, like work on a quilt or, a series, because I like to leave that stuff out, but I don't want to leave anything out and be halfway through a video and then have to stop. So I'm just going to be able to do quick things for a bit and not wrap up that series that I'd love to wrap up. So I worked on that, and I, of course, edited and uploaded my video. So time passed doing those things, and then it was Wednesday night, so I watched Survivor. Joe and I like to watch Survivor, and went to bed. And actually, I was ready to go to bed, but I was doing a chat with my my peeps, my patrons and YouTube members, and in the middle of my chat, or while I was chatting, I hear a knock on the door, and I'm in my nightie. Joe's in bed with Rocket, and our bedroom is in the living room. 10 minutes to 9, I get a knock, and it's a wet vac man, just one man, and I don't even know if it was the same company that came out that day. And he says, I was told that you need a cleanup here, and he goes, and you're going to need to move everything. And I was like, now? And he's like, well, yeah, don't you need it cleaned up? And I was like, yeah, but they told me somebody would come this afternoon, you know, and bring a dehumidifier or whatever. So I explained to him and showed him what we were dealing with. And I said, there's no way I can move all this stuff. And he said, well, let me talk to them. And I said, they were clear. I was clear with them, and they knew that I needed somebody to move this. And I can't remember the other things he said. He didn't really know the amount of damage and all this and that. And yeah, so, and the carpet was so squishy wet. And I don't remember if he said it too, but I knew, no, he didn't say it. I didn't have that discussion with him, because it was only after he left that I said to Joe, I know why that carpet is so squishy. It's because stuff is still coming out from between those walls. And, okay, so that was that. And I went to bed, and this morning I get a knock on the door from the plumber. Just one guy, plumber. Did I already tell you this? See, I've been recording for insurance purposes too, so I don't even know if I'm repeating what I just said moments ago. That's possible, because my brain is fried. But, or maybe I just talked about it on camera, you know, to just have that recorded for my insurance stuff in case I file a claim. He had no clue that it involved what it involved. He thought he was coming over to fix a leak. That's what he was told. They gave him the wrong address. Management gave him the wrong address, or maybe his company, I'm not sure, but he didn't know. And at this point, he was like just knocking on doors to see, do you have need for a plumber? You know? So I take him also to that room, and we talk about it a little bit, and he said, I can't, you know, take walls apart or cut anything without permission. And he goes, I can't get permission right now, because he said, I stopped there about the address to see where you lived. He says, but there's a sign on the door says closed. And I remember that they were having a corporate meeting today, so they shut the office down. And he said, but they didn't tell me anything about needing stuff moved, or that I needed to cut into the wall to fix this. And I said, well, then you'll have to come back later after we know. And yeah, we went back and forth. There was a couple of other things. And oh yeah, so I said to him that I was concerned that it could be going to the apartment next door too. And he goes, absolutely. He says it must be. So he said, I'm going to go talk to them. And they wouldn't let him in. Now I understand that, you know, some guy just knock at the door. Can I come in and see if there's water damage? And so they were pretty smart not to do that. But he couldn't get permission from anybody because the office wasn't open. So he said, I'll just talk to my company. And he did talk to them, and they said, no, you can't touch anything until we get permission. So there's a lot of miscommunication going on. And the other thing that I find is odd is management never had any interest in coming to see what happened. Yeah. And I think I'd like to file a claim simply because I'm very curious to know if it would indeed go through their insurance. I really don't have damages as much as fabric. Some, I could claim some. My concern is that stuff might come up from this, and I would need a claim to show that I reported this. So I want to do that, and I still don't know, like, you know, what else could happen? I just don't know. I don't know if all of a sudden there is going to be a mold issue and I have to fucking move, or that we have to be taken out. Things can happen. Things can escalate and get bigger than we ever expected them to. I know this for a fact. So I just want my ass covered to say, look, I'm making a claim here, and I want to, make sure that I'm covered in case some other issues come up. So is that where we are? Oh yeah, so now I drove Joe. I told Joe, I said, with the office closed and all that, I don't expect anybody coming back. I said, but if I do drive you, because I wanted to get out, he was going to drive himself. I said, but if I do drive you, you watch, that's when somebody's going to call while I'm on the road. And sure enough, that's when somebody called, when I was on the road. And I talked to her briefly, and she said, what time will you be back? I said 2:45, and she said, let me see if I can get this all arranged. And she said, I will get the maintenance guy to come in and move the things. And she's thinking that if we just move things back away, that they'll be able to get most of the padding out. But no, that's not going to happen. Everything in that room, she doesn't realize, because she didn't come see anything, right? She doesn't realize that all the walls have stuff, tables and things. There's no way to just move things out. There's very little space to walk in there because I'm all set up. Hang on. I was so glad I was recording. So I just recorded the conversation I had with her. And this is how it's going. It'll be probably, she said, next week before everything is done. And that's really taking me out of work. So she said the maintenance guy is going to meet at my apartment. She knows that I'm planning on being there at 2:45. He's going to come in around 3, and he's going to help move. That means Joe and I are going to be doing some of the moving. I just need to get this going. I could maybe claim that on insurance, that we had to do the work. I deserve to be paid for that. I also think I deserve to be paid for the work I can't do. We're going to see. That's why I would like to file a claim, because I'm just curious to know how this all works. I'll be prepared if something else happens. Rocket, come and lay down, baby. Come on. Did you say hi? Come here. Come and say hi to everybody. Everybody misses you. They miss that they don't see you. Say, hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Do you love Mama? Huh? Do you love me? You know I love you. I know you love me too. You love your daddy. Oh, such a good doggy. We love you so much. Okay, go lay down. Come on. You don't want to lay down. You want to be with me. Okay. She said the maintenance guy is coming in around 3. So I'm going to try to figure out a way. She goes, oh, you can just have them move stuff in the dining room. She doesn't know. And I said to her, it's odd that you never came in to see. You'd think that you'd want to see what happened. She goes, well, I know what happened. A valve broke. I think that's what she said. I said, no, but to see how I'm living in my workspaces and stuff, that you would see that I'm not just saying I don't want to move these things. They might think, oh, she's talking about what? Moving a couple of things? No, it's a warehouse. So she said that Brandon is going to come today to help move stuff, but the plumber's not coming until tomorrow. So that's another day that I have to be home. Oh my God, Skylar's got cabaret choir at 6, so they better come early because I'm not missing that. I am not missing that. Yeah, that sucks. I'm not leaving anybody home alone, and Joe's going to the choir thing with me. I'm not leaving them in my apartment alone, people that I don't know at all. So there's that issue now. I'll have to tell maintenance guy, make sure that they know. So they're supposed to come tomorrow to fix at least the pipe. But then she said it won't be till next week that they can get the drywall repaired and all that stuff. So that's displacing me quite a bit. I will be able to do videos like this obviously my office is good, so I can still be at my computer. I guess I could use Joe's table to do some kind of cutting, but I just won't have series like my strip quilts. That won't be okay, and I can't do that or start the Christmas thing I wanted to start. So it's just gonna be, yeah, it's just gonna be a pain in the ass, but we'll get it done, right? We'll get it done. And so I'll just keep you informed, updated, let you know what's going on. I know I have other topics that I'm trying to keep my things separate videos, and not just do a chat about, 3 different things. Huh? You're a part of everything. Yeah, you are. You can be in every video if you want to be. Hi. All right, you guys, that's about all I've got. I'm glad at least something's gonna get started. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with more soon. Bye.